This is articulated skeleton of foot, and it is formed by tarsal bone, metatarsal bone, and phalangeal bones. The tarsal bones are 7 in number. They are calcaneus, talus, navicular, cuboid, and 3 cuneiform. And these tarsal bones are arranged in 3 rows: proximal row, intermediate row, and distal row. In proximal row there are 2 bones, talus and calcaneus. In intermediate row it consists of the navicular bone, and the distal row is composed of the cuboid and 3 cuneiform bones. Then 5 metatarsal bones, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then some phalangeal bones. Each toe is composed of 3 phalangeal bones or 3 phalanges, except great toe, which composed of 2 phalangeal bones. So the whole skeleton of foot consists of 26 bones. 7 are tarsal bone, and 5 are metatarsal bones, and 14 are phalangeal bones. As a whole, it composed of 26 bones. Now in viva or in OSPI, you have to identify these bones. The axis of foot is the second toe, and this is the axis of foot. What do you mean by axis of foot? It means this second toe is fixed in case of movement, but this lateral 3 toes and the medial great toe is moved. The nomenclature or numerical structure of this foot is starts from great toe. Great toe is considered as first toe or first metatarsal, second metatarsal, third metatarsal. Then numerically corresponding metatarsal and phalangeal bones are present. Now come to the types of these bones. All the tarsal bones are short bones. Then you have to know about the nature or characteristics of short bones. Short bones are cubical. It has 6 surface. 4 are articular and 2 are non-articular, and all the short bones are ossifies after birth except talus, calcaneus, and cuboid, which ossifies before birth. Now come to the metatarsal bones. Metatarsal bones are miniature long bone in nature. Why they are called miniature long bone? Because they present single epiphysis, but in case of typical long bone it presents at least 2 epiphyses and 1 diaphysis, but the miniature long bone presents single epiphysis with single diaphysis. Then you have to know the direction of epiphysis. The epiphysis situated in the head of all the metatarsal except first. In case of first metatarsal, the epiphysis lies in the base, and in case of phalanges or the phalangeal bones, it also presents single epiphysis. The epiphysis is situated in the head of the. Now come to the anatomical points of articulated foot. In anatomical points, we can say the tarsal bones are situated proximally and the phalanges situated distally. The convexity of the articulated foot is directed upwards, and the plantar surface is concave, and the first metatarsal bone is the strongest and stoutest, which is situated medially. So this is articulated skeleton of right side. Now come to the joints. Joints are very important in case of articulated foot. What are the types of joint? The intertarsal joint. In case of talus, it has supratalar, subtalar, and pretalar joint. The supratalar joint is the ankle joint, which is hinge variety of synovial joint. Now come to the subtalar joint. Subtalar joint also known as talocalcanean joint. Talus and in between talus and calcaneus. This is subtalar joint, which is plain type of synovial joint. This joint is very important because of movement. In this joint, everted and inverted movement are occur. the axis of inversion and eversion is the oblique axis which passes through the subtalar joint. Now come to the pretalar joint. The pretalar joint is the restricted type of ball and socket joint which is known as talocalcano-navicular joint. Talocalcano-navicular joint. The ball is formed by the head of the talus and the socket is formed by the concave surface of the calcaneus. Calcano-cuboid joints between calcaneus and cuboid, which is saddle type of synovial joint, and the talonavicular joint is plain type of synovial joint, and the joint between three cuneiform are plain type of synovial joint, and the joint between the cuneiforms and the navicular is plain type of synovial joint. Now come to the tarsometatarsal joint. The all tarsometatarsal joints are plain type of synovial joint. Now come to the intermetatarsal joint. The base of the metatarsal bones are articulates with one another by plain type of synovial joint. Now come to the metatarsophalangeal joint. Metatarsophalangeal joints are ellipsoid type of synovial joint. Now come to the interphalangeal joint. Interphalangeal joints between two phalanges are hinge type of synovial joint. The joints are very important, or the unique features of the articulated skeleton of foot. There is no important muscle attachment in case of foot, but you have to know the attachment of tendocalcaneus or tendoachilles. This is calcaneus and this is the rough surface of the posterior surface of the calcaneus. The tendocalcaneus or tendoachilles gives attachment in the posterior inferior surface of the calcaneus. Now come to the interossei muscle. Interossei muscles are bipinnate muscles. There are 4 dorsal interossei muscle and 3 plantar interossei muscle. The dorsal interossei muscles are attached the intervening area between 2 metatarsal bones. The intervening area between first metatarsal bones, it is covered by the first dorsal interossei, and here is the second dorsal interossei. In between the third and fourth there is third dorsal interossei, and between fourth and fifth metatarsal bone there is fourth dorsal interossei muscle. And 3 lateral metatarsal bones, it is marked by 3 red marks. This is the mark of 3 plantar interossei muscle. And the head of the first metatarsal bone is marked by red color, which gives the insertion of the peroneus longus muscle. And here is the mark of the insertion of peroneus brevis muscle. Muscles are not important in case of articulated skeleton of foot, but you have to know about the arch of foot. Arch of foot means bony arch produced due to the shape of the bones. In each foot there is 2.5 bony arch, because there are 2 longitudinal arch, medial longitudinal arch and lateral longitudinal arch, and half dome of transverse arch. When 2 foot are joined with one another, then it makes a transverse arch. So each foot consists of half of the transverse arch. The medial longitudinal arch, which is consist of the medial 2 metatarsal bones and 3 cuneiform bones, the navicular bones, the talus and the calcaneus bones. The anterior pillar is in the head of the first and second metatarsal bones, and the posterior pillar is the posterior tubercle of the calcaneus, and the summit is situated in the talar articular surface or the superior talar surface, the lateral longitudinal arch. The lateral longitudinal arch consists of lateral 3 metatarsal bones, the cuboid bones and the calcaneus bones, and the summit is situated in the subtalar joint or talocalcanean joint. Now come to the function of these bony arches. These bony arches provide the proportional distribution of body weight, and which protects the sole and the underlying soft tissue structure of the sole and which also important for locomotion of body. Now you have to know the manner of the body weight transmission. The body weight which transmitted from the upper portion of the body, which is transmitted through the ankle joint, then in the talar articular surface it divides into two halves. The half of the weight is transmitted through the calcaneus and through the ground, and the half of the weight is again divided into 6 division. The first metatarsal bones transmit 2 division, and the 4th division is transmitted through the lateral 4 metatarsal bones. This is all about the articulated foot. If you have any query about articulated foot, then you can post in Callosum BD study group, or you can comment in our comment box. Thanks everyone for being with us.